never sell.
High impact innovations that you have seen.
Create a minimum billable product.
Taking EdTech in public.
Vision to disrupt the largest monopolistic organization in the world.
Why has so little changed?
Greenest building in Asia.
You ate very well.
QA industry invests less than 1% of its total revenue in technology.
So are builders actually using this sort of
There are many
technology?
of them. Air quality within buildings are 5x worse than outside.
What are the challenges that you see?
Investments compounded over 5 years in Proptech was 105%.
Wow. At EdTech, you were known as Barter King.
Biomimicry, which has taken the intestine of a cow and built a solution based on that.
What would you say is the bigger love, real estate or aviation?
We went to Harpic and said, listen, we'll give you seats. And why don't you give us Harpic?
So welcome to Property Angel, John. It's an honor to have you here with us. And today we are here talking about PropTech, of course, but with your vast industry experience and, taking EdTech in public, with entrepreneurship in so many different industries, turning around loss-making companies. I'm sure there'll be a lot more to learn from this conversation than that. But let me just jump into the subject, right? So you were a chief mentor at Brigade REAP for more than 6 years.
Okay.
So can you tell us what PropTech really means? What does it entail?
Okay. Sapna, thank you for having me. I've had an interesting journey and lots to share. But before I get into what PropTech means, I want to share with you 2 data points. The construction industry is the second largest employment generator after agriculture in India.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's the same across the world. But this industry invests less than 1% of its total revenue in technology. Whereas the industry average is about 3.3%. Within the same data set, labor productivity in the build world is amongst the lowest across all categories. So this is one data set. The second data set is to do with the environment. Take Bangalore, where we are right now. By Bangalore in 1970 had almost 70% green cover. Today it's got less than 3%. It makes the city unlivable.
Yeah.
Take India. By 2025, 21 cities in India will run out of groundwater. That's a big problem.
Yes.
Okay. 140 million people in India breathe air that is way above the permissible WHO level. Okay. By 2030, India will need a landfill every 10 years. That's the size of a Bangalore city. Our country, the world, is going to become unlivable for future generations if we do not do something about it. And how does it come to real estate? 30% of all CO2 emissions are from the build world. 35% of energy is wasted in buildings. 35% of water is consumed in buildings. Air quality within buildings are 5x worse than outside. So if we as an industry come together and do something about it, 2 things will happen. A, efficiency will rise. It will mean better cost controls. It will mean better profitability. And the world at large will become a better place to live in. So PropTech is to do with any technology that impacts the build world and impacts climate, encompassing the construction real estate sector.
What about other services? That's part of the construction tech. Besides that, what about other B2C services and things like that? Would you consider that as part of PropTech?
It is, because like I said, it's to do with building efficiency. Okay. Take the entire sales process. Till about 10 years back, customers would see advertisements in newspapers. They would walk into a site office. They'd walk into a corporate office. The process would last 3 to 4 months. Today, thanks to technology and the metaverse and virtual reality, people can see everything sitting at home. Calls could happen with people on the site. And during COVID, which is such a beautiful phase for the PropTech world, people were closing property sales without actually meeting each other or going for site visits. So one global incident actually flipped technology for the real estate world on its head. And the world is now adapting technology in the real estate and build world.
Yeah. So I had some data that said that in 2020, about 63% of real estate transactions worldwide were sight unseen. People bought houses without looking at it at all.
Absolutely.
But does that still carry on post-COVID?
So I know of two companies we mentored who've sold 3,000 apartments during COVID time without the customer and the real estate developer meeting.
Okay.
I don't have data on whether that's continued, but people tell us that the efficiency is not as high as it was then, but it still continues. But even if it stabilizes at about 10 to 15%, that's fairly good adoption.
Fair enough. So can you subcategorize PropTech for us and where the majority is happening within each of these categories?
So construction tech is the largest part of it. Then there is the collaborative technology. There is the co-sharing. There is legal tech. There is fintech. There is sustainability tech. There is alternate material. So every aspect of the build world today, there is marketing, digital marketing. Okay, every aspect of the build world today has got an element of technology that's disrupting it and building efficiencies. Which is larger? I think the industry is just about 10 years old. It's too early to say. But if you look at investments in this space, I was surprised. I looked at data between 2015 to 2019. The compounded annual growth of investments in EdTech was, if I remember right, was about 30%. Health tech was about 12%. FinTech was 42%. And surprises, investments compounded over 5 years in PropTech was 105%.
Wow.
And people said, oh, the base is small. I think in 2020, that is about $100 billion. So there is rapid adoption happening, and incidents like COVID actually helped accelerate that.
So what's collab tech? You said construction tech, then collab tech. What would that be?
So collaborative technology is, there are different parts of the construction cycle which is broken.
Okay.
So how do you acquire land? Okay. How do you then decide what to do with the land?
Okay.
So you have drones, or maybe a lot of it till about 5 years back was still physical inspection. Then you had drones which came in and said, listen, we will map the whole place and we'll actually give you what the footprint looks like. Okay. Then that drone data is taken and the architect actually builds a blueprint based on that data.
Okay.
Today we have technology which collaborates images coming from the drones or the satellite onto a blueprint, tells you where the water bodies are, tells you the curvature of how the sun and the shadows work. Therefore, what kind of material on the east side, what kind of material on the north side, and then you get into what materials to use.
Okay.
So there's a startup that we mentored called Smarter Dharma.
Okay.
Where you input a blueprint and out will come a blueprint with what materials to use, what kind of technology to use to make the building sustainable.
Okay.
So there are platforms which are today allowing for end-to-end collaboration.
So this is more for builders. So are builders actually using this sort of
There are many
technology?
of them. Brigade uses it. Rustamji's use it. Prestige uses it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
This is the same startup that you mentored.
Smarter Dharma is used by many now.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And the biggest challenge in the startup world is who's going to give them the first POC. And once the first POC delivers outcomes that have a financial savings or financial upside, people will embrace it.
Absolutely.
And that's what Smarter Dharma is now in that process. They've moved out of POC, they've got clients, they're demonstrating savings, efficiencies, sustainability.
Okay. And in the construction tech, what is happening? Any high impact innovations you can talk about?
So there's a lot of innovation material. Okay. There's a lot of innovation on how you use equipment. For example, we met a company which actually monitors efficacy utilization of expensive assets like JCBs, like earth diggers, if they're lying idle, tell you that you're paying for this
Okay.
and it's not been used for 20 days.
Okay.
So they can take that equipment somewhere else and make sure that the costs are shared across 5 locations and there's efficiency.
Okay.
Material, a lot of material happening. Construction waste is a large source of debris that can actually be repurposed. There are startups doing that.
Okay.
Then you have technology companies which are also telling you what kind of, for example, if, and I alluded to this earlier, is if the building is facing east, then you can use glass of a certain quality and cost. Whereas on the north side, you don't need that.
Okay.
You may want to use glass which refracts heat or absorbs heat without making the room hot.
Okay.
You can use finishings inside the room where rooms facing the east can actually be kept cooler because of the material that you use.
Okay.
There's a lot of bits and pieces happening. I believe in the next 5 to 7 years, it'll all come together.
Okay. So if we look around us, right, in terms of the sort of construction happening today, it's not very different. I mean, there's not a lot of change that you see around you. Would that be a fair statement?
It may not be visible, but there's a lot of adoption of technology by both small and large builders.
Okay.
Let me give you an example of a small builder. The company is called Co-Evolve. And Suhail Rahman, who's the owner of that company, actually decided to adopt technology because he wanted to create a differentiation for his brand and he wanted cost efficiencies.
Okay.
Today, his building has been recognized, I think it was 2 years back, as the greenest building in Asia.
Oh, really?
He commands a premium on sale value. His operating costs are 30% lower than the building next to his.
Okay.
So he's got Eco STP, which is one of India's first zero carbon emitting, zero power, zero energy use STPs. He's used VGOT to actually help save water. He's used Smarter Brahma to build a smarter building.
Okay.
He's used windmills on his roof.
Oh, wow.
To actually generate energy.
Okay. So, how large is this building?
It's a 60 apartment building.
Okay, only a 60 apartment building.
Yeah, but it's the greenest building in Asia.
This is in Bangalore?
In Bangalore,
where is this?
In North Bangalore.
Okay.
I think Amritahalli.
Okay. So one building only.
One building.
So far.
But he's now a case study for others.
Yeah.
Brigade is using a lot of technology in orchards.
Okay.
For example, we have a startup which actually Bangalore is famous for potholes.
Yes.
This company called Pothole Raja uses.
Yes, I've heard of them. I met that guy. Yeah.
Uses waste plastic to fill potholes.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And people were not using them till about 3 years back.
Okay.
I think it was ABB which gave them their entire infrastructure outside their office. Large order. And they've completely changed the face of the approach road to ABB. I think it was in Pina.
Okay.
Now they're doing a lot of other work.
Okay.
They're doing work for Brigade. Many companies are using it.
Okay.
So there's a lot of innovation happening in areas which you and I do not. The beauty of India is there's so many challenges. There's so many problems.
Exactly.
And that converts to huge opportunities.
Yes.
And there are smart youngsters who seize these opportunities and actually make a business out of it.
Yes, absolutely. So talking about that, what would you say, like if you had to look at the top 3 high impact innovations that you have seen, right? What would you, how would you name them?
So there is a company called Snaptrude. Snaptrude. Okay. He was a 22-year-old youngster, bright guy from Hubli, who came to us in 2016. And he says, his first statement, we said, what do you want to do? He said, I want to disrupt AutoCAD. And we said, wow, that's a 22-year-old entrepreneur with a vision to disrupt the largest monopolistic organization in the world.
Yeah.
And he told us a simple problem. He said, the entire architectural industry, AEC, architecture, engineering, construction industry, has got silos. So BIM doesn't talk to this, doesn't talk to this. He said, I'm going to create a platform which will integrate everything.
Yeah.
Today he's highly successful. And I think he's a company that will actually change the world order when it comes to how buildings are designed. And he's now flipped to the US, raised millions of dollars, and he's got hundreds of thousands of customers.
Wow.
So, this is a youngster from Hubli who saw a great problem, didn't realize that he's going to be up against a lot of challenges. And the biggest challenge was mindsets of people.
Yeah.
You're going to upset
Exactly.
AutoCAD?
Yeah.
And then we took him to 10 of the top architects in Bangalore. And they said the problem he's trying to solve is brilliant, but the solution doesn't work.
Okay.
So over 2 years, we actually got feedback from these people. And the good thing is he didn't get dissuaded because of negative feedback.
Yeah.
He saw this as positive, constructive things that he needs to address.
Yeah.
2 years later, he had a solution which was adopted. People in India, architects in India didn't adopt it because, there are architects use a lot of junior people here. In the US and all, where labor is expensive, skilled workforce is expensive, technology becomes a big thing.
Yeah.
So adoption came fast from there. And today, Indian architects are using it.
Okay.
So that's one. The second is a company like a VGOT. Water is taken for granted. But like I said, 21 cities in India will run out of groundwater in the next 3-4 years. They actually said, if we can measure the quantity of water you're using and we can plug the leaks, we can actually help conserve water. They're saving billions of liters of water every year by just deploying intelligent sensors.
Okay.
So that's on the water front. I talked to Vico STP.
Yeah.
Amazing guy. He's cleaned up lakes by using technology which is inspired by a concept called biomimicry, which has taken the intestine of a cow and built a solution based on that. Now, it looks like what madmen do. But these are the geniuses who are building solutions that will actually create a lot of livability for future generations, also build efficiency for the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. So VGOT and Eco STP, are these being used by global companies as well, or is it limited to India?
So we've taken them to Africa, we've taken them to Europe.
Okay.
But I think the demand here itself is so large.
Okay.
They've decided to actually build. Today, you can build a multi-billion-dollar business from India.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they're doing that here. But I know for a fact, I've taken both these companies to Africa. They've gone to Europe. There's a lot of demand for it, but there's huge untapped potential here.
Yeah. So, and builders are open to use.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So the biggest challenge I still remember with Eco STP was, have you got pollution control board approvals? He said, listen, I'm a startup. I don't have any POCs. And Suhail of Co-Evolve gave him his first POC.
Okay.
Now that becomes your guinea pig. You can make or break it. So we made sure he took feedback and built a success story. Today he's got 200 installations in India.
Yeah.
And he's got an installation of the pollution control board. What data validation?
I know, absolutely. So now, what are the challenges that you see, right, of that these entrepreneurs in the whole PropTech segment face? What are the top challenges, do you think that?
So I think, and Sapna, I've been out of the industry now for about 8-9 months. I don't think it's changed so much, but I think the biggest challenge is mindset. Mindset on both the demand side and the supply side.
Okay.
On the demand side, which is the real estate fraternity, they do not want to take risks with a startup who may be here tomorrow, has taken money and disappeared, or who may not deliver value that they're promising. In fact, one of the reasons Brigade REAP was set up was that Nirupa, who's the joint MD now of the company, a lot of startups used to come to her and she used to get excited and she used to give them pilots. And she realized that these startups, what they promise and what they deliver was poles apart.
Okay.
So one is the mindset issue of the demand side where, will he exist 2 years down the line? B, does his product and solution work? C, will he deliver what he's committing? On the supply side, startups believe that I have such a great product. Everybody's in love with what he builds and he should pay me for it. And if he doesn't pay me for it, I'll give it to him free. And then they don't take criticism constructively. You should take a customer who's paying you is your best critique
Yes.
to help you value add.
Yes, absolutely.
And the sooner, and many startups, many smart, and the many smart youngsters, and also people with 20, 30 years of experience, when you show them the mirror, they realize that the customer is the best person to fine tune your product to be world class.
Yeah.
And they're seeing that today. That mindset, if and the other thing is, the one thing they said, oh, great product, let's just do a POC. We said, no, do not believe in this concept of MVP. You know, the tech world believes in minimum viable product.
Yeah.
We said that's rubbish. In this industry, please create a minimum billable product, an MVP.
Interesting.
So build. So it's not a play of words. It's a difference between a product that works that people are willing to pay for. It's a difference between a good to have product and a must have product.
Absolutely. And it's a problem that startups are seeing across today,
Categories,
right?
absolutely.
I mean, it's profitability is an issue. So I think everybody should be talking about MVPs. And
we've been talking about MVP for 6.5 years now. And this started because Apple and I were also part of the team that created the GenX startup. And we kept telling startups, focus on cash flow, focus on MVP. Don't look at MVP because, you know, what you want and what you need are poles apart.
Yeah.
You pay for what you need, you will not pay for what you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
So those are some of the insights that we've gathered.
Yeah. So if the PropTech, I mean, what problems do you think are the biggest problems that the PropTech segment should be solving today?
It's a nascent industry. Any problem that can save costs, save carbon emission, save natural resources, or deliver enhanced revenue and efficiency in the industry, which is so complex, which has so many moving parts, you should address those.
So, like, if I look at, I mean, I feel that not much has changed in the real estate industry from a consumer standpoint, right? So, when I moved to India from the US, I moved around 23 years ago. And at that time, I was looking for a place to stay. And I went to India Properties. I think India Properties
Correct.
was the only classifieds at that point
Correct.
in time. And then over time, we had your Magic Bricks and 99 Acres and the housing and several others. But the experience has only been marginally better. Right.
Okay.
So the way you interact, whether it's a real estate a sale, or whether it's a rental, it's more or less the same thing from an end consumer standpoint. So why is that? I mean, why has so little changed?
So Sapna, because I was in the system, I have a contrapoint.
Okay.
I think the industry has changed quite a bit.
Okay.
And let me tell you some classic consumer viewpoints. Today, for example, I have friends who I have recommended properties to. They said, is it sustainable? And I said, listen, they have rainwater harvesting. They have water treatment plants. They have STP management. And oh, wow. So I've seen advertisements of real estate developers said, water management by VGOT. And it actually is a differentiator because a builder will not use it if it doesn't work for him. Okay. So many consumers are asking for sustainability as key. Okay. In the apartment complex that I live in, people want access control. They want RFID tags on vehicles coming in and out. They want security. They want CCTV. You see this all over. Apartment you live, house you live, street you live, CCTV cameras, boom barriers, remote access control, sustainability are no longer buzzwords. These are what customers want when they make a decision. So I see a lot of adoption of technology by the build world in India, and I see consumers demanding it. And I've also seen the pace of change between 2016 and 2019 and 2020. COVID actually accelerated that.
That's true. Yeah.
So I see both from a demand side and a supply side, people have realized the power of what technology can do for them, both efficiency, both from the sustainability angle and from savings.
Yeah. So, but if you still look at the consumer experience, like I said, right, the transaction. So, for example, if I had to go buy a property today and I will have to go get an EC several times, during the entire sale process until I actually go and register the sale date, right? So all of those things can become so much more efficient with technology. I mean, there's blockchain's been around for a long time. When do we see that happening? When do we see the process actually becoming simpler from an...
It's actually happening. And let me give you a recent example. I bought a property 25 years back. I had to run circles to get the same thing registered, get stamp paper printed. It took me, and I kid you not, it took me about a week to get a house that I paid for registered.
Okay.
It took me several trips to the bank to get my loan sanctioned. Okay. I sold a property 2 weeks back. I was done in an hour, 1 hour. I got an agent. He said, sir, everything is online.
Okay.
You come to the BBMP, na? Where I went there. I was called at 2:30. 2:35, I was standing in front of the camera taking pictures. 2:45, I finished signing. Then I had to go to the lady's desk. It had to go into the system. 3:30, I was out. What took me 2-3 weeks took me an hour.
Yeah.
And you're still right. I mean, for example, I wanted an EC done because we had an EC till 2020 and the buyer wanted EC till 2022. I think it was a 1-day job. We did something online. There's still manual intervention required.
Yes.
But it got done quicker.
Yes.
And blockchains will make it easier.
Yeah.
Because blockchains, digital wallets will all make sure that everything comes together. That's why I said, this whole collaborative thing, government, private, land banks, everything will be on one. And the government is actually working on digitizing records.
They are working on it?
Oh, absolutely. We met legal startups who are doing that. We had 2 startups in our own fold. One was Landright and one was a startup out of Bombay, which were doing that digitizing. And they're doing it for a lot of banks now.
Okay.
Complete digital.
Okay.
The entire legal documents from the khata to ownership going back 50 years, 60 years.
In Karnataka or?
This was in Maharashtra.
Maharashtra. Okay.
They're based there. But they will come to Karnataka, they will go to AP. We also advise startups don't expand.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Win a territory, prove it, get customers, get validation, get testimonials, and then replicate the model.
Okay. So they are, what is the company called? Landrights.
So there was Landright, and there was another guy, Proptech. Proptech is the company which was doing all this.
Okay, interesting. So our Indian companies, so India's challenges are of course very different from that globally. I mean, some are common, some are not, right? Do you see startups in India solving global problems as well?
You'd be surprised. I talked of Africa. I also had the privilege of being invited by the government of Tunisia.
Okay.
To work with the startup community there. The problems are the same.
Oh yeah?
It's not even similar, it's the same.
Okay.
Water problems in Africa. Waste problems in Africa, construction debris all over the place, potholes, issues are the same. So with Africa, I have suggested to Proptech 54, which is the organization that's actually doing what Brigade REAP did here, is to not reinvent the wheel. Talk to Indian startups, challenges are the same, mentalities are the same. A lot of Indians in those countries, and bring them here and get a local company with trying to solve the similar problem, do a tech transfer, and they're doing that.
Okay.
So the challenge is the same. The solutions could be tweaked based on the local needs, based on currency, based on adoption of digital payments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was surprised 15 years back. M-Pesa,
yeah.
What a success out of Africa. It was before UPI and everything happened in India.
Yeah.
It was, people were paying groceries, vegetables, milk with M-Pesa.
Yes, yeah, true.
So similar problems, similar challenges, solutions work both ways.
Work both ways, yeah. So you had started PropMart.
Correct.
Several years, 2000, and then you came back to Brigade REAP in 2016. Yeah. So what changed in the industry in those 16 years, and what excited you to come back to real estate uh, as a chief mentor?
So at PropMart, we're actually digitizing the problems of buyers versus sellers. And it worked very well. But after 3 years, so I was working with a real estate developer, and 3 years later, I realized that the company had reached a certain scale, and I had a friend of mine who was starting an airline.
Okay.
And he was a good friend of mine.
Okay.
And I said, 3 years is a lifetime in an individual's journey and a startup journey. And we're doing about 500 crores of home loans a year, and we were doing crores of property transactions.
Okay.
And then the tech platform was set, the team was set. We had opened 5 countries. We created India's first real estate supermarket, where you could go into a building like this and you could buy any real estate property from any builder across India. It was India's first real estate supermarket.
Wow. Okay.
It was a Prestige Meridian here. It was in Bandra in Bombay. It was in Sheikh Zayed Road in Dubai.
Okay.
It was in the HDFC office. So we had created the concept of real estate supermarkets.
Wow.
You go into a supermarket and you can buy a property in Chennai, Bombay, Delhi, and you could buy it and you could take all the services that we had offered. So I had a great time doing that. It was disrupting real estate in a very early stage. And then my journey took me to exciting places like Air Deccan, like managing a fund, like the hospitality industry. And then I was actually done with the corporate world. I lost my mother in 2016, 17. So I decided to come back to Bangalore. And then I had the good fortune of meeting Mr. Jayashankar and Nirupa. And they were wanting to set up a real estate incubator. I remember my first meeting with Mr. Jayashankar. I said, Mr. Jayashankar, who do you want it for? Tell me. And his answer completely amazed me. He said, John, I want you to bring in technology for the real estate industry. So I said, he said, no, for the industry. If the industry benefits, I will benefit.
Yeah.
That's the vision of the man.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay? Absolutely.
And for Nirupa to be personally involved in Brigade REAP meant that the founders of the company and the family was clear that they wanted this to succeed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I saw that energy and that positive thing about changing an industry. I love disruption. I love making a difference to different industries. I've done it so many times. I just went in whole hog. Now, had I gone alone, I may have found it extremely difficult because I'm not a techie. I know what I want from technology. I can identify problems and I can identify challenges. But I had a colleague called Apul Nahata who was with me in Reliance.
Okay.
And he's a brilliant techie. And he came on board and together we set the foundation with a lot of help from Brigade.
Okay.
And then we had other crazy people like Rajiv and Gautam, techies and business development people who came together. And the 4 of us actually worked for over 6 years together. Yeah. With a lot of support from Brigade and made it what it is today.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah. So, now you said developers are using technology in the whole construction space, right? Are they also using it? So, when we've tried to sort of work with them to sell their properties, very often we find that the amount of inventory, the status of the inventory, what's available, what's not available is a question mark, right? It's not always clear. So are they using tech for all of that as well, or are they purposely not using it, or where are we on that?
Sapna, very interesting question. I was in 2012, I was asked by a developer to come and consult for him on actually putting together an entire tech platform to help him understand the unsold inventory, sold inventory, and build a customer interface. Because every customer who owns a property or is a tenant can become an owner, and an owner can be a referral or he can upgrade. And I remember a senior professional from his company, and so the chairman of the company asked me, what is the unsold inventory that we have? So I gave a number, and the CEO said, this is rubbish. So I said, I'm sorry. how do you get this number? So I called up every site office, every property of yours, went to your website, called them, and through power of persuasion was able to ask them how many are unsold, how many are sold,
Yeah.
and this is the number. And the number he had was 1/3 that.
Okay.
Okay. And the chairman got very, very, because that was a lot of inventory unsold.
Yeah.
And he said, how can I create a solution which can tell me what I build, what I've sold, what I have leased, what I have unsold? How can I manage that?
Yeah.
Today, there are companies who do that for you.
Hmm.
But you have to, and today many of the large companies have ERP systems which are integrated into both project management and financials. So it's easy to do that. You need some integration.
So they're all using it,
Many
more or
are
less?
using
Are
it.
there
Many
some
The
specific,
big ones are using it.
are there some
I know-
specific solutions they're using?
No, so there are builders who are using SAP HANA,
Okay.
integrating with local solutions to actually, there are many real estate companies who are today engaging companies for digital transformation.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's a big one.
Okay. Okay.
Real estate companies today have CIOs. They have innovation officers.
Yeah. Yeah.
In fact, we did a lot of work for Aldar
Okay.
in Abu Dhabi,
Okay.
and they have a very, very, very senior chief innovation officer. And that lady is on top of her game. And she has and we wanted, it was a 60-day program. Sapna, you won't believe it, from the chairman to the CEO of every vertical used to spend time with us and with the startups. That was the level of engagement. And I think that is also being adopted by many companies in India.
Okay. Okay. That's good to know and understand. So we also have, I mean, real estate is also a lot about agents and brokers on the ground, right?
Right.
And they seem to not be very comfortable using technology. And we've seen a lot of apps come and go. There was Broker Network last, and there have been several of these. What's the solution to that? Do you see that changing? Have you seen any innovations in that space?
So you have the broker community on one side, you have the facility management companies on the other side.
Yeah.
I think I've seen a lot of tech adoption by the FM companies.
Yeah.
Lot of it.
Yeah.
I've also seen a lot of real estate agents actually adopting technology. And, this is also reminiscent of my Edeken days. Travel agents and the entire market was
Yes.
dominated by travel agents.
Yeah.
They were resisted us.
Yeah.
They were up in arms about the business model we had. But today, those same travel agents are doing so well because they've learned to leverage technology to their advantage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of progressive real estate agents now using technology to connect with you, the customer, and use you to refer to him, to somebody else, and give referral fees.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing a lot of smart guys doing this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is a question of survival. This industry, the intermediaries in any category are very resilient people.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
People said, it's this whole story in India when television came or newspaper got a circulation or radio got a circulation. Everybody is surviving. When Edeken came in with a no agent model, they said, agents are going to go out of business. The number of agents only increased.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
When companies like No Broker came in, when companies like Squares came in, so the broker community is going to go out of business. Brokers are still contributing 40-50% of a real estate developer's sale. So the smart have got smarter.
Yeah.
And finally, it's the survival of the fittest and the smartest, not only the fittest, survival of the smartest, which is kicking in.
The other issue that there is that we see in India is the lack of data.
Correct.
Right? Do you see any work happening in that space?
A lot of work happening.
Yeah.
In fact, data-driven decisions today are being adopted by many real estate companies. Okay, simple example. This parcel, should it be residential? Should it be commercial? Should be mixed use? Should have hotels, malls? Today, there are enough data points, including where the metro is coming, where the roads are going to be built, for them to decide what kind of facility to build. Okay. There is a lot of data that is being correlated. For example, there is this whole thing that I was working on 3 years back on what about homes for retired people?
Yeah, senior living.
Senior living. Okay. And we looked at, and India, there's this contradiction in India. India is a young country. But while we are a young country, there's a large chunk of people who are retiring and going into, and this whole joint family fabric is broken.
Yes.
So it's all about nuclear families.
Yeah.
And even elderly people, my parents are living alone. Okay. So we actually worked on some data to figure out how many retired people are going to come in and will they be able to afford to live independently without their children in apartments or homes. And what are the support system that community need. So my family in Kerala themselves built a retirement home for elderly people.
Oh, really?
Called Graceland Foundation.
Okay.
Sold out. Doctors, nurses, food, theaters, all in a gated community. In fact, in our last session, we had the Manasum guys who had come over. They run a senior living and they were also talking about, and I've spoken to others from Primus as well, and how the supply, the demand totally outweighs supply at this point in time. Yeah. And you have to price it right. Now, the other problem in India is, social security, medical insurance. I think one will follow the other. Yeah. But also talking about lack of data, I mean, even at the retail level, right? If I'm looking to buy something, if I'm looking to rent out something, I mean, the data points about what transactions have happened at is not freely available. So there are companies like CRE Metrics and Props AMC which are actually solving that. Where is the property sold? What is the anchor client? What is a rental? What could be a rental yield? Take fractional ownership of property, strata, prop wise. They will tell you what yield to expect. That's basis data. Yeah, so at the commercial, it's slightly easier than at the residential. So, like, where does Prop AMC get its data points from? They get it from registrars, municipal corporations. They get it from different places. And today it's plug-in. You just plug into the government database, they give you access to it, but you also have to do a lot of, because the data is in languages, so you need OCRs to actually make sure that language can be translated. Yes, exactly. So this company that I talked of, the legal company. Legal Right. No, not Land Right. The other one? Proptech. Yeah. They're doing all that for you. Okay. Banks are using them. Yeah. So rental data is not really with the government exactly, right? It is. You have to register your rental agreement. You need not. I mean, most people don't. But, today, most people are doing it because if there's a litigation, then you're in trouble. If you have stamp paper, then you don't really need to. But today, so just collecting that amount of data, and even in a sale transaction, I mean, there is a cash component to it, right? I mean, even today, although I know it's reduced a lot in time, but that is also. The last property I bought, I didn't pay any cash. Yeah, I mean, it's reduced a lot. I mean, professionals don't have them. Yeah, don't even have the cash to. Yeah, exactly. So there is a lot of data coming in. On where potential developments will happen. If you take CBD, that CBD master plan itself is what real estate developers I've seen in Bangalore use to decide where to buy land and what to build. Now the CBD data has expanded. Yeah, true. So talking about smart cities, right? So how would you define what a smart city is? There was a lot of talk about smart cities in India and, getting 100 smart cities. And we need that because, I mean, Bangalore cannot sustain even the population it has today. So what is your concept of what you understand about smart cities? So my belief of a smart city is place the consumer in the center. Every interaction, every engagement with him should be digitized. Okay. From the time he leaves his house, the boom barriers are connected to a system. Okay. He shuts the door, it's access control. Okay. He knows how far it is, where his office is. It'll take him. For example, when I was coming to your office, it said 31 minutes. I know in Bangalore traffic, please bust another 50% of your time. Yeah. Exactly what happened. I left at 10:45. I was supposed to be at 11:30. I landed at 11:40. Okay. So and today it's getting better. Yeah. Okay. 2 property transactions. Yeah. 2 ordering food online. Yeah. 2 paying your bills online. Yeah. And I think our government with UPI Aadhaar has done a phenomenal job. Absolutely. Of bringing the the foundation
Yeah.
to make sure things happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a city in South Korea called Songdo. It was the first fully integrated smart city where Cisco invested billions, and I think Songdo, the municipality of Songdo invested, I think it was marshland, and they built it from, you can time when the car will come, where the metro is, you can time, you can set when you leave home, you can switch off your lights, you can switch on your car AC. When you leave office, it automatically turns off. Bills are, everything was automated.
Okay.
And it also ensured that the homes that were built, and this is I'm talking of 10 years back.
Okay.
The homes that were built also facilitated work from home as a concept long before COVID happened.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay. So the homes were connected to the offices were connected to their homes, the homes were connected to places of fun, recreation, and everything was seamless.
Have we seen that happen anywhere here in India?
I haven't seen it, but I think, cities will start that.
Yeah.
As in townships, like a Brigade or a Prestige or a Purvankara or they will start
They
this.
will start this. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's we can always sit back and say, what's the government doing? The government is setting up the foundation. It's for us to take that foundation and lay it.
Exactly. Absolutely. So on that, as we close, I wanted to ask you, what's your vision of what real estate and technology will look like? Like if you had to paint the PropTech picture, maybe 10 years from now, what does India look like at least?
So I believe that there's a very strong push from the consumer side for convenience using technology, for sustainability to come to the fore when they are buying properties. And I believe while spends on technology by the industry today is in the 1.3%, and the industry average across verticals about 3.3%. I think in the next 5 years, we as an industry will be at the cross industry average. People have realized that technology can save you money. Technology can give your consumers a far better way of life, and technology can also help you mitigate a lot of damage that you're doing to natural resources.
So just paint it for me. So what does it look like? I want to rent a house. I want to sell a house. I mean, what is my experience going to be?
So I think you want to rent a house, you click on and it's happening today. Sapna, 3 years back, I rented my house. Happened in exactly 5 days.
Okay.
1 month back, I sold my house. Happened in 2 months. Okay. It sounds unbelievable, but I don't want to market those companies, but it happened.
So is it all going to be in the metaverse now? I rent a house and I'm looking to rent a house.
These will be enablers. These will be enablers. Okay. And this generation is very, very sharp on how to use technology.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think they will figure out what is true, what is wrong, how to look at this. Technology doesn't care about, what is the ROI I get. My generation worried on ROI and stuff like that. They don't care. Okay. So I think a lot of collaborative economy, the sharing economy is also coming to the fore. I see a time where, you buy this house today, tomorrow the builders say, listen, you want to upgrade, I will sell this house and pay a difference and take it. I think stuff like that. See, it's not all about technology. Business models have to also evolve.
Yes.
Today, if I'm paying 30,000 rupee rent for this house, some real estate guy will say, you're paying 30,000, you'll get a 1.5 lakh tax rebate from the government for 45,000. Why don't you buy that next apartment? So, but this is all based on data, which will layer decision making for us. So I think there will be technology interventions and there'll be business model disruptions, and the two will go together. And the government is laying the foundation for a lot of tech to be enabled through blockchain, through digitization of records, KYC is automatic, UPI transaction automatic. So I think
it's happening.
It'll go together. 10 years, I think India will be at the cutting edge of PropTech. Yeah. And I think India will lead a lot of PropTech for the region.
Yeah. So, John, now tell us a little bit about IndiaJets. How did that happen? How is it going now?
Okay, so you'd be surprised to know that the URL www.indiajets.in was bought by me on 27th May 2009.
Oh, wow.
It's
It's such
14
a long
years.
dream.
It's 14 years. I don't think I was emotionally ready, financially ready. I don't think the market was ready.
Okay.
And 6.5 years is a long time in one industry, sitting in one office. And I'm very restless by nature. So I asked myself, am I in a comfort zone? Can we disrupt something else? And I have a very dear friend of mine who worked with me in Deccan. He's a pilot. He said, let's just get into business aviation. So I said, listen, Rajan, and he knows that I've been thinking about it from 2009. And he's also, every time we go on a ride, he says, come on, yeah, let's just activate it. So 2 years back, we said, listen, let's just do it. Let's disrupt business aviation. And the funny thing is, for every problem, there's an opportunity.
Yeah.
The US has 13,000 business jets. Mexico has 900. Brazil has 700. Canada has 500. India only has 149. Okay. That's because Indians do not want to splurge on a visible asset which doesn't make financial sense to them. So our whole business model is being disruptive, where I come and tell you, hey, Sapna, don't buy an aircraft, buy a fraction of that. So I defray your costs over 5 other like-minded people.
Yeah.
So we got one aircraft, we have NSOP. Disrupting industries is you age years.
You age very well.
You age.
That was my next question. My last
You age.
question as we end.
It's
What's the secret of that?
I just love what I do. And I just work with great people. We have fights, great people. I thoroughly enjoy what I do.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I've had a lot of fun. Thank you. A lot of
Thank
learning.
you so much.
It's been great having
Thank
you
you for
here.
having me. Pleasure.
Hi, I'm Sapna. Hope you enjoyed the session. In this series, we'll be talking about three broad areas: real estate as an investment, PropTech, and business building in general. We also run an annual event called Propathon, and our sessions from Propathon this year are also part of this podcast series. If you enjoyed the session, please do like, share, and subscribe. If you have any comments, anything you would like to hear about, please do leave it in the comment box below.